Hey everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Sunday evening, and we are here to have a discussion, to just chill, have a easy discussion. I'm going to bring up on stage Natasha Jackson. She is our guest today. My name is Nayoka, and I am a holistic health and wellness coach. Um, I've been in nursing for almost 20 years. And Natasha and I are going to talk with you about a shift that is taking place, and that we want to fully embrace that shift in our profession and beyond. So, Natasha, say hello to the people.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I am Natasha, and I've been a nurse for over 20 years, and started my own business a couple of years ago. Now I'm a nurse entrepreneur doing care management consulting, and so I'm happy to be here. With Nyoka, just having a little chat about that shift that we see is kind of happening. Yeah, so that's what we'll be touching on today, just having a little chat.
Yeah. So, when we say shift, what we mean is
Mhm,
there are lots of healthcare professionals, from therapists to doctors, even that are
mhm.
embracing a holistic way of approaching healthcare.
Yeah.
There are a lot of healthcare professionals who are now looking at alternate ways that center people of diverse backgrounds, okay?
Mhm, mhm.
Because what we encounter is a Eurocentric type of placement that doesn't honor
Yes.
us. It doesn't
Mhm.
honor our struggles. It doesn't honor our wins. It doesn't honor
Yeah.
us. And so
Yeah.
one of the reasons why we venture out into finding our own special places inside of our professions is so that we can truly be in alignment with who we are on the
Mhm,
inside, express that fully on
mhm.
the outside. So Natasha, can you tell us what prompted you to start your own business?
Well, I worked at a really large hospital, and for me, the 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 difference in the care that I saw from different communities, from people in different backgrounds, and the access to care as well, that. And then also, as a nurse, I always felt like there was more that could be done. um it was always like following the policy, follow this, um and that doesn't work all the time. I remember I had a patient who was on like 10 medications, right? And then they put her on hospice and then took off all of that medication, and that person lived years after. So all the medications, and just feeling like providers did not have time to spend with their patients. It was all just rushed. And I was like, you know what? I can help with, I can do something with what I know as a nurse for all these years, working with patients, engaging with them. And then for me growing up, I grew up in the Caribbean in Trinidad, and my grandparents, I never right? So they never really took a whole bunch of medications. In the nursing homes, we'd have patients with, most patients had 9 or more medications. And so for me, I wanted to do something different and see something different. So that led me to start my business and try to do something
And you said try to do.
something with what I know, as a nurse, my experience as a nurse, my background, and also having 2 chronic health conditions myself, and wanting to know medication.
You said
And
something.
not your medication. I said I have two chronic health conditions myself, and so I wanted to do something different or get off my medication, really, and try to do something different there.
Natasha, can you hear me?
There we go. There we go. Sorry.
All right, can you? No, it's
Sorry.
probably it's me because I shifted because I noticed the internet was moving slowly, so I shifted
Oh,
to my
okay.
phone.
Okay.
My,
Okay.
this is
Yeah.
my fault. My fault. Okay, so
Okay.
having some chronic health conditions yourself, you
Yeah.
didn't want to always add medications on top of
Yeah.
on
Yep.
top of on top. I remember um, I remember I was talking to someone and they were saying, "Oh, well, my parents keep coming back from the hospital with more from the doctor's appointments with more and more and more medications instead of
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle switches and
Yeah.
lifestyle solutions." So that's where we get into the chronic care management of things and why
Mm-hmm.
and so much alignment with how I practice, right? Because
Yeah.
growing up in Jamaica,
Yeah.
my mom ate before we started school. It was like a ritual in our house. Before you started school, you get our washouts, right? And we're talking about
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You gotta purge.
yeah, we're talking about Cersei, and we're talking about natural ways to
Mm-hmm.
not so much, go Miralax, but a natural way.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Natural stuff. Yes.
yes,
Exactly.
yes, and those things sustained us. And so when we're looking at culture,
Mm-hmm.
make sure we're not excluding
Mm-hmm.
those things because for hundreds and thousands of years, these are the things that
Yeah.
have,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
how do you approach your business? Like, how do you, I know for sure right now you're not doing the chronic care management. So how are you showing up in your business to help to make your business run in that way?
Well, how am I showing up? I think for me, when I communicate with providers to try to get them on board and really recognize that having that person to actually spend that additional time with the patient, because a lot of times you have the patients, they're rushed, they're seeing a bunch of patients, but let's say after that visit, myself as a care manager, I'm calling that patient and I'm really sitting down and listening. So that's one of the approaches that I do take, because I do sometimes make those calls when I'm working with patients, to really take that time and listen and get to know their background and what will work for them, and make it more patient focused, patient centered in anything that I'm doing when it comes to care, or even my consulting, whoever I connect with, making sure that they're aligned with similar values as well and goals for their patients and improving their outcomes. So that's kind of how I do it, in my business, and trying to promote that. Like, you have a holistic approach, and you're a health and wellness coach. I'm a nurse, but I do know how to engage patients. And I do have some background in more natural stuff a little, but again, just understanding patients, their backgrounds, and what works for them, and actually listening to them. I think that's most important.
Yeah.
So that's my approach, patient first.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
We find out a lot about people
Hmm.
in our approach. We spend a lot of time with them. We know the questions to ask to get
Yes.
to the
Yes.
bottom of, come on and tell me why you're not. taking your insulin the way that the doctor
Yeah,
said.
exactly.
Come
Yeah.
on and tell
hmm
me what's going on. Why don't you necessarily like this blood pressure medicine?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. And I think a lot of times I see with, family, my mom often, oh, well, this doesn't make me feel good and it's not working, you know. So then generally you'll find that one medication is not working, then you get another medication added on top of that to fix what that medication is causing. And then it's a constant cycle. They just keep adding another medication. Yeah, so that to me is a challenge. It's an issue, so yeah.
definitely. And so when you come across providers who are sometimes set in their ways, right? They're set in their ways.
They are.
They know the pharmacy reps. They
hmm
keep getting the samples from the pharmacy.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
we're talking real deal now. This is real life, right?
Yeah,
We
it
we
is. It is.
we know how the system works. When you
hmm
talk to providers like that, are you trying to persuade them to get on board? How do you talk with them and encourage them to allow a nurse to really
hmm
work at the top of their license?
So a lot of times I would say that I cannot convince them of that. A lot of times it's a challenge. You just kind of have to find that right provider, which is difficult to find, um, that would allow you to work at the top of your license. And again, so sometimes I don't focus so much on the physician. I'm focusing on the patient, and talking to them, and then I can convey, hey, this is what's going on with this person, and that's why they're not doing this. And so that's how I get to do that, because a lot of times, like you say, they're set in their ways and it's too much to change anything. The patients like them how they are, so they are okay with it. So for me, that's kind of how I do it. It's hard to change how they think. Being in Brooklyn, it's good because not in Brooklyn, but in New York, there are a lot of Caribbean doctors. So, you can reach out to them and maybe have that conversation. So again, it also then depends on the physician you're talking to.
Yes, yes. The demographic has
Mhm.
a lot to do with the location of where you
Yeah,
are, your
it
provider.
does.
I will love Dr. Uche Blackstock's book From Here Till the End
Yeah,
of the Earth, because
yeah,
she really explains and describes that, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I love
how
that book.
yeah, about how the community loves to embrace people that look like them because they understand,
hmm
where
Yeah,
their character
exactly.
come from. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
and I mean it's been studied, it's been shown that, if you have someone that, the same background, cultural background and all of that, that they respond better, they engage more, patients.
yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
hmm
So I've seen you posting about the Caribbean and reaching out, not just containing ourselves to the United States, but also reaching out to our islands of origin. Tell me more
Yeah.
tensions with that, because I love the sound of it. Tell us
hmm
some more about it.
Well, I'm a care manager, so I work remotely and remote devices and all of that, right? Bridging the gap between provider and patient. And with that background and just with the atmosphere that we're seeing right now, I decided that I wanted to explore my options and bring what I've learned over 20 years as a nurse, to bring that to to my home, right? So that's what I started thinking when I started seeing all the things happening here. I was like, listen, I have knowledge that can be used here, it can be used there, and it can help people everywhere, right? And so that's what I decided. I started to reach out to some people and talk to them, thinking about my family history. My dad had a stroke. His mom, his dad, stepmom. It's like so many people with all these chronic conditions, and realizing that there's technology that can help support those communities. So if I can take what I know and bring it to the Caribbean, and have it implemented there or utilized there, then I can really have some impact at home. And
Yeah.
so I am working on that and reaching out to people, talking to people, and doing those things so that we can have some better healthcare in the Caribbean.
I love the sound of that. I know that a lot of us talk about things being hereditary,
Hmm.
and diet playing a role in that, because I cook.
Hmm.
My mother taught me how to cook,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And she
yeah.
cooks the way grandma taught her how to cook.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we live very active lifestyles in the Caribbean as well. So
Yeah,
we're,
exactly.
we're walking. I've never, listen, I used to walk when I was growing up in Jamaica. We used to walk for miles and we enjoyed
Yes,
it.
yes.
Time went by and we didn't even know it because we were in
Hmm.
of living,
You
right?
were right. We were walking to school, walking home, walking to school. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so our activity levels are different, our diet
Mm,
are different, and also the stress that we face is also
yeah,
different,
yeah. It is.
right?
It is different. It is different. Yeah. Yeah, it is definitely different.
So
So yeah. Hmm.
it's an interesting dynamic, and I love to see it played out. Someone decided
Hmm.
to join us, of course, because I'm talking to someone else. So he decided to join us. So tell us more about your mentorship program. Tell us,
Okay, so
yeah,
So I
we really,
started doing I started doing care management, like I said, 3 years ago. And what I found is that there are a lot of nurses that don't recognize that what their knowledge can be leveraged to be work as a care manager. And you don't have to go back to school to become a care manager. You're doing all those things already, right? So I was like, well, let me teach other nurses to do this, because it's nurses who need to go out in the communities and speak to those patients. And so if I can show them, what I did, how I did it, then I can have more nurses out there doing what I'm doing and getting to the patients. Because I think that's the biggest thing, getting the information to the patients, that they understand, hey, you can have access to someone 24/7, that you can reach out to and ask that quick question, or who can connect with your physician and stay on the phone instead of you on the phone all the time, that person doing those things. So yeah, so I started a mentorship where I teach nurses how to, start their own business, and reach out to providers, and do what I'm doing. It's not an overnight thing, but it is certainly possible, and that's really what I want to show them, that it's possible. And you can just use what you know, because that's what I did. I used what I know. I never been in business before, anything like that, but I knew as a nurse that I had the skills, and so I took that and I ran with it.
yeah,
So
and
yeah.
I loved it so much, because I'm gonna say this, and
Hmm.
maybe people will not like it, but I'm gonna say it
Hmm.
anyway.
Hmm. Hmm.
This business of high ticket coaching is
Yeah.
not for many of the people that we serve.
Hmm. Right. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. Hmm.
So if we can coordinate with the insurance that they already have in place, it
Hmm.
is very good. And
Yeah.
also, if we can offer them a concierge service at a price where they can manage, it's also very good, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that this
It
is a
is.
nice,
It is.
I think it's a nice in between, right? Yes, we have our coaching programs, and we call folks
Certainly.
and we call
Hmm.
folks coaching programs. But then here is another service that we're providing to our community that may not have access to that high ticket coaching, right? And I love the in between. I
You're
the in between because it gives opportunity to truly interact with the community on a level,
mhm.
increase access.
Yeah, yeah. And it does allow to bridge the gap, and connect segments to just fragmented, and there's no connection. So we are the connectors.
Right. We become the connection. We become,
Hmm.
there's, I've seen
Yes.
in my contract work at the bedside,
Hmm.
I have
Hmm.
seen so many family members come in and not understand the process until someone breaks it down to them in a way that they can understand. And it's
Hmm.
we have this overflow of time, but we have to explain it to them so that they
Yeah.
can understand the care we're providing for them, their family members, and so that they can really choose the best paths for themselves. Advocacy and empowerment for people is huge, and sometimes people think that they know, and sometimes I have to say, no, it doesn't work like that. No one likes to hear no one likes to hear me say, not that way. But after they listen and they hear, they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So we have to have the patience, we have to have the time in order to do
Hmm.
that. Someone has to do it, is what
Yes,
I'm
yes,
saying.
yes, exactly, exactly. You're right. Someone has to do it. So,
Someone
but
has
yeah.
So, for those nurses out there who are tired of the red tape and the bureaucracy that they may be facing inside of a facility, know that this is an option for you to speak
Hmm.
and work with a physician to support
Hmm.
your community. People like your
Yeah,
uncle
yeah.
who is diabetic, people who like your grandma
Mhm.
who had status post stroke, who has suffered a stroke and is alive and still needs care. That's a full-time job. And so we need to be able to support those people because with all the things that are
Mhm.
happening in governments and all the cuts, I am really concerned about our community
Yeah,
because we have
I
access already.
am as well. Mhm.
And now, it's going to
I
be even worse.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So,
yes, you're right. We need
Natasha, we're trying to hear you. You're frozen.
Oh, can you hear me now? Oh, am I frozen still?
Yes.
Am I frozen? I'm still frozen?
You're moving now. You're moving.
I'm
Internet.
moving now? Okay, all right.
Use the internet. Yes. I love this conversation because it's real. This is
Mhm.
real. So I don't like to
Yeah,
necessarily stay here for hours on end.
right. Yes.
What can we leave the people with? What can we leave the people with? Hey, Tamara, thank you so much for joining us.
I
Good
think,
evening. You know how their lives, they come and they go.
oh
They
my gosh.
listen to what you're saying.
Right. So what mhm. What do I
Um,
leave the people with? That there are services out there for you. You do have to research it sometimes. And for nurses, that you do have opportunities available to you if you have nursing experience, to become an entrepreneur. Care management is one thing I always encourage because you don't have that high startup cost for it. And then for patients that for patients that they are healthcare providers that are able to support you and really work with you to get you where you want to get to on your terms, you know
On
on your
your
terms.
on
Yeah.
I love
Mm-hmm.
that on your terms. So yesterday I went out vending. I love to go out vending, not necessarily because I have products to share with people, but because I get a chance to talk with people and hear their challenges and hear where they're coming from. And I offered them the chronic care management aspect of my business so that they know they can get that level of support. So, Natasha, I
Mm-hmm.
thank you very much for introducing
Thank
it to
you.
I'm so happy that I'm able to offer that as an
Mm-hmm.
alternative to people who can't necessarily afford the coaching
Right.
that I provide. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I'm just grateful that you showed me the way how
Yeah.
to go about it. Not to say that they're not challenges, that's for a masterclass. This is alive.
Mhm.
Not to say that there are not
Yes.
challenges and we are overcoming those challenges, but to be able to offer it to our community from a place of love and understanding
Yeah.
is absolutely
Mm-hmm.
priceless. I
Yeah.
thank you. And people will see our post from Jamaica. I'm looking forward to our time of rest and fun and
Yes,
excitement.
yes, yes. I'm excited.
It's so exciting. So, everyone, thank you for joining
Yeah.
in. We love these talks. You get to see us,
Thank you.
authentically. And so we just
Yes.
love.
Thank you.
And until next time, Natasha,
Yes.
thank you.
Alrighty. Bye. Bye.
Bye.